Welcome back to Some Parts Not Included, a podcast where three amputee friends just talk about what it's like being an amputee. My name is Amanda Marie, and I am a leg amputee, and these are my co-hosts, the Jamies.
Hi, I'm James, and I'm a left arm amputee.
And I'm Jamie, and I'm a right arm amputee.
You guys were like twinsies there. It was hilarious. Oh, man.
That's because we've just known each other too long.
True.
True story. But today we are going to talk a little bit about artificial limbs and breakdowns and repairs and what that looks like. Because a lot of people don't think or maybe realize that there are a lot of repairs or how long our devices actually last for. Because believe it or not, you can't just get one and done. It lasts forever. It's not like a real limb. I can start on this. I've been having a lot of issues with mine, including, like, I don't know about either of you, but my biggest problem is I find the devices, like the hydraulics, never last long enough. So typically there's like a 3-year warranty on like your knee or your ankle. And I can barely make it to those 3 years before they start to malfunction and have issues. I don't know how you both fare with that.
100%.
I have a passive arm, so like I would say that I don't have any of that functioning, right? So that stuff doesn't break down too much for me.
Yeah, with the myoelectric hand, yeah, absolutely. Before the warranty all the time. But I'm also a heavy user, so yeah. And I'll run it through the ringers. Like I'll put mine to the test and just doing regular everyday things. At one point, they were calling me the destructor or something like that. My prosthetist, because I would always. But they like that though, because I actually use it for the things that it should be used for, and it's good feedback for the companies, right? Like Autobach particularly is what my myoelectric hand is.
Yeah.
And so they kind of like that I would actually use it for the things it's supposed to be used for, and put it to those tests, and boy do I. So
okay, that makes me feel better.
I want to share one of my stories of like limb breakdowns, what I call the lemon hand saga. And you know how sometimes you have like a lemon car, yes. That's what you call like something that doesn't work. Well, I had like a lemon hand for multiple lemon hands that sometimes they just break down and didn't work. But I had like a whole saga of this happening where I had my myoelectric hand, and you know what? I'll put it on right now because why not, right? In case anyone's wondering what a myoelectric hand is, this is it here, right? A myoelectric hand opens and closes. Anyway, and so for a while, there was one that I received where the gears kept slipping. So if it goes to close on something, it doesn't tighten and hold tight. The gears and the fingers just keep missing, and so it's like a soft, like it wouldn't be able to grip anything. So I was constantly dropping everything, and I had sent it back for repairs, and they put a whole new transmission in it, which whatever that is, and in my arm. Like they're like literally they're like cars. That's what it reminds me of. That's why I called it like the lemon hand, not the lemon car. But anyway, so yeah, and for a while there, I got it repaired and it was sent back, and then the same thing just kept happening. So they gave me a new hand, and the same thing happened to that hand too. Like I had a few hands in a row that were just like tons of issues. So, and I think that that's not just every limb. I mean, that is every limb, but that was just that there was issues with those particular units that I got, unfortunately. And then when it gets sent back to the company and the issue's supposed to be fixed and it's not fixed, it's just really frustrating not to have your arm. You know what I mean? Like I am so used to using my limb, as I know you are, Amanda, and Jamie too. Like you get used to using it, and it's just so frustrating when something like that happens and you have to lose it, like people don't understand, like that's 6 weeks of waiting. Like it's got to go the way it worked. The company is Autobach, okay, and their factory actually changed to be outside of Canada where they would repair our limbs. So now our limbs have to be sent um, across the border. So it takes more time to go across the border and come back for repairs now. So you're going 4 to 6 weeks without your limb, and that's something that's a part of me, man. Like I wear this every day, and every time I leave the house, I put mine on. Like around the house when I need it, I put it on. So that was quite frustrating, I guess. And that's something that I don't think people realize is like that's just like that just goes along with prosthetics and being an amputee. Like your limbs need repairs all the time. You're constantly using them and wearing them down, just like any mechanical thing, right? They need repairs, and
And
that's
not even
just
just the mechanical parts, but I guess other parts of it too. So I right now, I guess I'm not in like a permanent socket. I don't know if that sounds weird or not, but it's like this
No, it
kind of
doesn't.
material.
Mm-hmm.
So it
okay.
actually, if you can tell, it's not as thick as like what James has. So this is used for like when basically we're not happy
It's
yet.
it's it's
It
clear plastic.
Yeah, it's like
I
it's
wonder what
just
material that is. Like I wonder what kind of plastic it is they used. It looks like test socket.
I can get back to you. But yeah, it's kind of like it's for like a test. Anyway, so it's not as durable. So I have to be very, very careful with it. Like I used to, like, if I went to the bathroom, I have to take my leg off and I would lean it up against the wall. Now I don't, because even if it just like slips while I'm on the bathroom and hits the tile, it can actually crack the material, and it is so painful when it cracks because it starts and it just keeps going more and more and more, like it just wildly goes. So that one's really painful because then it's basically pinching my skin, and because I weight bear on my leg, it's just a lot of pressure and causes a lot of pain. So basically once it gets to if that happens, I can't even like walk or wear it to barely do groceries. It's not fun. So you're trying to like get it done right away. But anyways, we've been having problems with my suction keeping, which is why we haven't gotten a permanent one yet. So now I get to experience all the fun of like the temporary one and the issues that that one has.
That
Um,
sucks.
Other parts that
Mm-hmm.
like break down, or I guess like I'll point out, is on my belt. I never, like, you don't really think about this, but this is just a backup system I have. So we've attached basically this like gigantic corset of a belt that goes around my body on top of it, and the velcro material like right on here will just, not only does it get like completely covered in dog fur, but even if you pick all that out, just the velcro itself wears down eventually. Which means like you're walking, and if my leg doesn't, like, the suction doesn't catch, then if the velcro is just not even there either and it's just bald, then like it's a scary time. And then the last thing, because James pointed a lot of like the malfunctions of the, like, the components, like the knee, like that's what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. Like this is actually like a functioning part rather than
Mm-hmm.
just like a static part. But the, oh my god, my sock on here is embarrassingly dirty. Okay. Because like I don't change it until it has holes in it. But this part, this is like the shell on the foot. This wears down a lot really quickly too, because there's what is it, carbon fiber is actually underneath of here, and so if that's just really strong material, and so it doesn't really matter what I kind of do to try to protect it. Like it's important I wear like a sock or a shoe as often as possible, just so that there's not as much breakdown. But eventually this starts to crack, like
Oh
within
yeah.
maybe a few months. It doesn't last as long as it's supposed to. And once that starts to go, I can't walk either because the toes just become very unstable and just like bendy. So it's not a good time. But, and then my last thing is like, I always have the silicone liners. Are you both in a silicone liner, or do you use cotton?
I
Do
am.
you
For my recreational arm, I do.
do you find like the silicone liners break down like really fast, like rip on you easily?
No, but
They
we're not
No?
also
putting our body weight on it.
so it also I think depends on how thin they make it, right? Because you can make the silicone liners thicker in certain areas. Like you just have to like
Hmm.
you have to your prosthetist has to like kind of like draw that out, if that makes sense.
So interesting because
Usually,
like
there's more at the bottom.
I'll
Sorry,
have to
but
look into that. I've noticed, so I never had this problem before, but the material that, oh, I don't know what company it is that it comes from, and I should. But the liners I've been getting they never used to do this before, but now they'll start to like rip really easily or cut really easily. So if the edge of my, like this part here, if this is too rigid,
Mm-hmm.
anywhere, it will just, if I lean against any kind of anything, like sit in a chair, it will literally puncture through my liner and just start cutting it.
Crazy.
And I've been having a really bad problem the last few years. And I thought in my head, maybe I'm making this up. Like maybe I'm just really rough with them, or it's like, I don't know, time is weird when you're grieving, and so like, is it one day or is it a year? Like you just really
Yeah.
don't know. So with that being said, I was like, I don't know if these are breaking down quicker. So I did talk to my process about it, and she said that she believed they started making it with a different material that was thinner, and it was supposed to be for functionality purposes, but that she
Mm.
was finding they were ripping way faster. So now it's like I can go through a liner in a month or two.
Oh, yours aren't custom made.
No.
what's it called?
Right.
Is there a company name on the liner?
Do you want me to go slide away
Because
and go grab it?
because mine were custom made, and that's where I was
Curious.
that's what I
Oh,
was talking
what?
about. Yeah.
Oh, I need
Yeah,
to.
but that's not. Yours are custom made. That's not
No, I know
regularly
it's
what
not
everyone does.
regular. No, I know.
I had one custom made too, and it was terrible. But that's just because the company messed it up, and it was like a new technology thing. It was supposed to be for the inside of a myoelectric hand, which I've never worn a liner for. Let's see this liner.
Okay, hold on. It's inside out. But you can see the damage that I'm
Oh
talking
yeah.
about,
And
right?
Yikes.
that's obviously cutting your skin, right?
It will once
If you
it
don't get it
this
taken
is
care of.
protecting it. So once this is gone, this is what it does to my skin.
It's like a thin one, eh? It's a thin white one.
Yeah.
So it's not like the alpha liners that are like kind of thick.
This
Hmm.
one's not even that old. What is it? Oster?
Yeah, okay. Well, yours has those rivets on the inside to help keep it on, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like the
So this is
suction.
actually how it like
Wait,
suctions.
oh, that's on the outside?
Yeah. This is on the outside.
For suction.
That's different. That's so much different than the liners I know about.
Yeah. So I
Interesting.
think they started to change the material of them. And anyways, if you work for this company, change it back because I don't like it.
Hey, it's write them and tell them like
I
it's
like it.
Actually, my prosthetist has
they
wrote them
like
and
that
given them
feedback.
that
They
feedback
should like it.
because they're like and then once the problem is it's like once it just starts to go, when I say it goes fast, I mean I have to get in there and like trim it down. Right now, I think the only thing that's kind of protecting it so I don't want to mess around is like it hasn't cut through the outside. So the
Mm.
outside is kind of helping right now, but once that goes, then I need to go cut down my backup
You know
liner.
what? For me, I keep thinking it always goes back to like they're so expensive, right? Like prosthetics are so expensive. Why are they not better? That's what I always feel like they should be better. You know
I
what I mean? Like
It's
they're as expensive as a car, and they're like,
you know
why
why?
can't you be better?
It's because no one is used to the abuse that a human body gets used to.
Hmm.
yeah.
Like we all put our entire bodies through so much abuse all the time, but it's because we can heal. It's because we have joints. It's because this, it's because that. Like nothing will ever compare to the human body.
Yeah, to a real limb. Yeah. That's a very valid point. And I don't know, like I don't feel like I think at this point we would have thought there would be more advancements in technology, and there really isn't. Not from like yes, there it has been
There is, but
advancements, but in for some and for others no. So like maybe yes, in the world of like, oh, we have hands that are computerized and they have all these joints that move and you can do more like tedious things, but not when it comes to like, hey, this suction liner is not staying on because she has hyperhidrosis and a short stump, and it's like, well, slap a belt on her, that sucks.
old school, yeah.
And I'm like, no, do better. Like that's my what I started saying, like, but I just shouldn't have to struggle. Like let's just try things until we figure it out. Like that's I don't believe in giving up. So I'm going like as we can tell, I just listed off like how many things that like are normal repairs just on the every day side of things. So like we definitely I'm probably sure that there's even more than that. But yeah, they're
I
and like James, sorry, go ahead.
and I have like mine are mostly just cosmetic. When mine breaks down, it's like my glove will get like a really bad rip in it, or like I'll break. So I used to have a hand shell that was made with wire, and so that hand I would use all the time. I would bend the fingers and like whatever, use them for whatever I needed to, and then I would just always break the fingers, whether that was like jamming it into a jacket, like a coat, a winter coat. Like that's usually how I would break it. Or something. Yeah. Or something along those lines. But then my prosthetist was like, okay, well, you're no longer allowed to have this inner hand. We're going to have to switch it out for you every time so that you can't break it. And so that's what they do.
Hashtag passive hand problems.
Exactly.
Like that's just it. That's part of what I wrote down. It's like when I used a passive hand, which I don't now. I haven't used a passive hand in a long time. I used the myoelectric, but when I used to use a passive hand until like my mid 20s ish. So that's just it, man. The gloves ripping, and like I can't tell you how many fingers I've lost and left behind. Like I know one because I used to use this passive hand that for snowboarding because I put it on my recreational arm and just I needed something to break my fall. So I always told the funny story. When I used to go do presentations that I went snowboarding in Tremblant and I lost a couple fingers on the hill. So I'm sure that when the spring melt comes on and there's the hikers start going up the mountain, they must be like, what the hell, fingers. That and like the guy at Home Depot where I used to work, they'd be sweeping up at the end of the night and they'd sweep up like a finger or something. I'm like, oh, James must have been working. Because they'd find fingers on the floor. I worked in lumber and like fingers would come off all the time.
They do. Mm-hmm.
That's fun. That's a fun problem to have. It's not, but it is because you can have fun. My morbid brain is like the amount of jokes I would be playing on people if I was just losing things like that and could still keep moving around. So,
oh yeah.
That's hilarious. No, I've actually had speaking of like lemon limbs, I did have a lemon knee. And we shipped it off to the company like several times. It was a VGK knee, which stands for very good knee. And they gave me this loaner knee. And I know, laugh all you want, but I actually really loved the knee, to be honest with you. So it was like $30,000. It wasn't cheap, but it works very similar to a computerized leg without it being actually computerized is like a good way to put it. But it's very intuitive. It catches me from falling, and it adjusts when I'm going like up and down stairs really well. So I loved all that about it. Anyway, so I got a lemon one after. So I get the loaner knee to see if I like it because it's expensive. So often what they'll do is like give you a test run. For people watching who don't know what a loaner knee is, but they'll give loaner parts that they like rent out to see if you like it. And if you like it, then they order you a brand new one. So they order me a brand new one, and the thing just never worked properly. Like I was constantly falling and injuring myself. Like I landed myself in the ER a few times because I fell and I would land and like my artificial leg would hit my other leg. And one time I thought I broke my like my full leg off of it. It was so painful. So and I kept bringing it in, and like we do hours of video calls with them, and they were just like, oh, we can see the problem. And I'm like, and you could hear it, like it had this noise that was like driving me mentally insane everywhere I walked. And we sent it back and forth and went on forever. And then finally I was like, can I just have the loaner knee? Like I like the way that one works, so can we just do that? And so they agreed. They were like, yeah, we don't understand because nothing is showing wrong with it, but it was just a piece of shit though. So it was not a very good knee.
Well, they are complicated bits, that's for sure.
Yeah. So it's true. Sometimes you can just get one and it doesn't work, and it's just a lemon.
I would like to say, I'd like to add one more thing in there,
Yeah,
if you don't mind, because I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful for like having a My Electric Hand and how awesome they actually are. They're great. I love them. I think that they're like that I'm able to have a My Electric Hand and a prosthetic. I know there's tons of people across the world that don't even have the opportunity in different countries to have an arm and a limb. So it's like I don't want to sound ungrateful. Like I just think that if the cost of this is worth as much as like a BMW, that it could be better in some areas, like maybe a bit more waterproof or doesn't break as easy. Or I know what we're going to talk about next is like, wintertime struggles for amputees.
yeah.
And so there's issues in the winter, and it's just like you think that they would be better for each climate that they're going to be in. So
I was just gonna say, I never really thought about this before, but does your mile get affected in like snow is a problem? Wouldn't it be?
it does. And so why don't we just jump right into our next topic, wintertime
Yeah,
struggles? Is that, yeah, this My Electric Hand certainly gets, what's so funny?
just keep going.
Wintertime struggles.
Wintertime struggles. Yeah, well, that's what it is. Are we? I think we should get
There's that band coming together.
There is, man. That's going to be our number one hit, Wintertime Struggles. We'll have footage of you falling on ice, too, so it'll be real great.
Oh, no.
But yes, to answer your question, the Myoelectric, the batteries slow down, like they don't last as long, and the hand gets affected by the cold for sure. So it's like, depending on the climate you live in, it's definitely not made for Canada in the dead of the winter. That's for sure, because it's like it slows down, the batteries wear out a bit faster, and there's nothing worse than when you're out somewhere and you don't have an extra battery or whatever, but your battery dies. Like, oh my God, that is, I hate that so much. Like, it's.
Do you normally carry an extra battery around if you're bringing your mile?
Not always, because usually they last like a couple days. So as long as you know that, yeah, it's fairly recently charged, then you're usually pretty good. But of course, there are times where you're out somewhere and then your battery dies and you're like shopping, grocery shopping, whatever. You need the arm for whatever you're doing because it's just helpful. Now you're stuck with this lemon that doesn't open or close, and you can't hold things with it, and it's just like it doesn't do anything. So. And so that's a really frustrating thing is that but that's not exactly wintertime. That's almost like the last topic we were talking about, the breakdowns. But
no, but you're saying like in the wintertime, it actually affects the functionality, like it slows down. Also, you had made a comment about it not being waterproof. So that's what I was thinking. Like if you're out and there's a storm or shoveling, which I would imagine that using a mile while shoveling.
I don't use the mile to shovel snow.
No? That sucks.
No, I just use the nub. I don't use any limb at all, actually. I just put the nub through the top handle, the top ring, and the handle, the handle you hold on, there's like a hole underneath it. I just stick it right through there. I put a glove on, and I do the rest. But don't get me started on snow shoveling. I've had it with snow shoveling. It destroys my tendinitis. every year I wonder why my tendonitis gets so bad in the winter. I have a double car driveway, and this is the first
Oh,
year I've decided I'm done with shoveling. We got a snow. I did the shovel, and it was just wet, heavy snow. And I'm like, that's it. I am hiring snow removal services because I am not shattering my arm. I'm not like damaging my arm any more than it has already been damaged. And the more repetitive strain that you do
yeah.
and you use it for these, so if I'm sitting there shoveling snow every day, it's just not worth it. I want to save it and like preserve it for the things I love doing more, like, whatever, right? There's everything, just everyday life. I don't want it to get
Everything
worse.
other than
So
shoveling snow, because who enjoys actually shoveling snow? But yeah, I feel you. Jamie, I'm assuming you probably have a similar
Yeah.
struggle.
So when or if I do choose to shovel snow, I just use my stump. I also hire snow removal services. Number one, because I'm just weak. I'm a weak person. um and then number two, yeah, just like I'm not gonna put strain on my wrist, like at all. And like I wouldn't say like I have too many issues in the winter, really. Like just it being cold all the time. That's basically it. Like just it changes color, it turns cold pretty quickly. But
Yeah.
generally, like if it's in a sleeve or in my artificial limb, like I really don't have too bad. Like the struggles are not too bad in the winter, really, like at all. Um,
hmm.
yeah, and like it doesn't mind snow, it doesn't mind ice that much, so it doesn't
Your
like get irritated that much.
residual limb,
Yeah, yeah,
the nub,
yeah. It doesn't. The
just so we're clear. You can stick it right in snow and just no effect. I thought it was the other way around. Your nub is always purple.
Yeah, but like it doesn't mind being cold. It actually minds more being warm.
I think that's just you in general.
True. Yes.
Her stump has now taken on her own persona as well.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have been called the Ice Queen a few times. That's
The ice
correct.
queen, the porcelain princess, right?
Oh
Oh
man.
boy.
I probably have the most struggles in the winter than anything, I would guess. Anyways, walking on anywhere in the winter is the most awful thing in the entire world, and it always reminds me that I'm actually disabled. So I actually hate the winter time. Like from the second the snow falls until it's gone, I choose to never hopefully leave if I don't have to. Like my house, but um with that being said, I'm very blessed to live close to my dad, and so he does come over and help a lot with snow removal because he's a very healthy man. So he refuses to let me, well, he's healthy enough to hire anyone for snow removal. And I too have a double driveway, and I live next to a perfectly capable, healthy male who chooses to throw his on my side.
Oh.
So I
Oh.
Wow,
also
that's
then,
really nice of him.
yeah, it's extremely considerate and thoughtful. So I'm just really blessed to live next to him. Um, with that being said, it just is even more work, right? It's just like even more snow to get rid of. But yeah, basically, it just becomes really unsafe to walk. So I can't tell what's like underneath my foot, and it's very like everything's very slippery. So basically I just need to walk around everywhere with salt and just like shake it in front of me.
Shake the salt as you walk.
Yeah, just turn into like one of those machines and like yeah, that's
You ever use a foot? What do you call it? Those
spiky
um,
things.
yeah, the spiky feet.
I
Um,
have they're like a little like cover that you put over
yeah, that
top
goes
of
over
your
your boot
shoe.
or whatever, and it has metal
Yeah,
spikes
it's
for grip.
not it's safe until it's not safe. So it's safe if you're on ice and snow, which
And
is
then
when
as soon as you go to like a different floor, it's probably slippery.
as soon as I like walk into the house where there's
Uh,
tile, I've injured myself badly from like stepping
that's
into not knowing and being like,
Quite
taking off.
ironic.
And also just even on cement, like when the cement is actually clear to go back and forth, like it's actually really slippery on cement. So it's just good for snow and ice. So I actually didn't like it and I stopped using it because for that reason. So I would have them in case I know I'm going somewhere. When am I voluntarily going anywhere? But to your point, it's really exhausting on my body because I basically have to like penguin walk everywhere I go. And just like my body gets really, really stiff. And so it's just really exhausting. And then I find by the time I get to like point A to point B, and then my body actually like relaxes, I'm like, oh my God, that was like, it hurts. Like it just hurts to walk and get around. Um, so that's probably like, and then the other thing I'll say is more like an inconvenience. But if like my artificial leg gets cold, so if it touch it, like if I'm not wearing like if there's not a nice warm cozy cover on it, if it touches my other leg, it's like an icicle just like going and touching my other leg. So it's not very comfortable that way either, but that's kind of more of an inconvenience than anything.
It's a wintertime struggle, my friend.
It's still a wintertime struggle that you wouldn't think of. Yeah, for sure. If I have a cover on it, it's not so bad, but even still, if it's cold outside, my skin feels a contrast against each other. So and like you all, I struggle. It just makes it unsafe to go outside and do snow removal. So those that actually do it at their house, because if it makes it hard to like take your dogs for a walk or do anything like that. Just be independent. I just thank everybody that actually does take care of theirs if they're capable of it. And I also thank everybody that helps a neighbor that can't do it. We see all you that actually go and help like it's 1950 still.
So like the opposite of your one neighbor.
Yeah, but like I actually do have a neighbor on the other side. I have contrasting neighbors. So the other neighbor is an amazing human being, and if they are capable, but she does kind of come and try and help sometimes. But if my dad doesn't get here first, so
I'm blessed with a very, very nice neighbor, a man in his 80s who loves to just upkeep his house, and he does everything himself, and he has a snowblower. And there have been multiple
oh,
times that he'd finish up with his driveway, and I think he just likes using machines. So he comes over and clears parts of my driveway out, but I think he also does it because he's like, he knows my struggle. But then I feel like, oh my God, here's this 80-year-old
so it feels
clearing out
like
my
now.
driveway, and I'm like in my
Yeah,
30s. Holy moly. I'm like, what a lazy ass I am. I mean, to get outside. So I always go out and I'm like, oh my God,
I
thank you.
know.
But like, you don't have to do that. Like, but this year I won't have that problem because I got those markers. So now he'll know.
I actually, the last house that I owned, I had really amazing neighbors. I lived in a pretty small
Oh,
town. And there were a couple of years where I would wake up after a really heavy snowfall, and like I would just be catching this black truck that used to come and clear the snow, that used to come and blow the snow,
aw.
and I'd just be catching him leaving, and I didn't know who it was, and I never figured it out.
Oh,
I know, isn't that the coolest thing? Like I never figured out who it was.
it was a
Just
So
little
someone was clearing
hermit.
your driveway for you?
Yep,
Nice. And it was one of your neighbors.
probably. I mean, everyone had a truck. Everyone had a black truck.
Probably
There's
took
some
them
people with snow plows
literally
down
2
the
minutes.
street.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing, right? Is it doesn't take them any time.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't. When you got the truck like that, it takes them a
yeah,
couple minutes, like a minute or
yeah,
two. They could clear your driveway, probably.
Yeah.
yeah. I
So that's
mean,
just a nice thing because that's expensive to get someone to come do that every day. Like when you pay an actual company,
yeah,
It
you
is
know what I
very
mean, to come
expensive.
do that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm glad you had neighbors that did that for you, and I hope that as you get settled in and your neighbors get to know you better, they also do such lovely community acts of service back because it can get expensive being an amputee sometimes with
Absolutely.
stuff like this so, that people don't think about, right? But yeah, it's something that I always am like, I'm so grateful. But like you, James, my dad's 72, and so I feel awful. I feel guilty while he's doing it, but he's physically capable. So, you know, that's what I try and tell myself. But I think it's still like it's normal for it to bother you to watch somebody older that you would like to help typically, but now they're the one
Yeah.
helping you. Like that's how you think in your head. Like I would love to be doing it, but you can't. And so that's a wintertime struggle right there.
Wintertime struggles.
And I can no problem go shovel my driveway. I'm just like, yeah, it hurts the tendonitis, but that's fine. It's not like I'm not capable of doing it. I am.
No, but
It's
yeah, it's a repetitive injury that you also need
mhm.
to be mindful for long term, right? So
Yeah, it's more just a pain constantly doing it. Shoveling snow. Oh my god.
like I just
I
have to
love
do it right
snow,
now.
don't get me wrong, like that's where we differ. I absolutely love the winter, and like I probably would rather the dead of winter than the dead of summer when it's like
Agreed. Completely
insanely
agreed.
hot. Like
Yeah.
I would rather it be like -30. Like I'm more comfortable at -30 probably. I
Me
know
too.
you agree with me, Jamie, as well. Yeah, I don't like being too hot, and maybe that's just a Canadian thing, but I
Then we
also enjoy.
all live where we're supposed to live.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Because never.
Absolutely.
Except for removing the snow out of your way. That's the
No? What is it? No, now that I say it, it'll come. So
like you hate the snow and ice, and I'm like going to be building ice in my yard.
I
That's my
know.
goal this winter. Like you're trying to get rid of the ice, I'm trying to like create ice. I'm gonna be building a hockey rink, hopefully, in the backyard. At least
But I love hockey. Like I
oh
wanted
yeah.
to play hockey. I just couldn't I couldn't skate really. So that was not something I ever had like an aspiring goal of doing anything with. But I love watching it.
Hey man,
Uh
you could do sledge hockey.
Also I just don't want to. It sounds like winter.
Yeah, I'm always looking on the bright side.
Yeah.
Never say never.
Well, if anybody watching has any struggles that they have in the wintertime or anytime, like seasonal struggles, I guess is another way of putting it, let us know. We're interested in hearing, or how like you can overcome some of them as well. Or if you have an artificial leg or arm yourself that use a device and you have repairs or breakdowns that we didn't really discuss, or helpful tips for those to kind of maybe last longer, we love to hear any input you have to share. In the meantime, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also hit the notification bell. There we go. So that way you get notifications every single time we upload a video and you don't miss any of our amazing content or our lovely faces. So until next time, my friends, peace.
Bye.